Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. There are coaches out there that can help you do just about anything. Of course, sports, we're aware of those types of coaches, but there's business coaches, life coaches. There's also an audiobook coach. So if you've written a book or you want to narrate a book, here's somebody that can coach you along the process so it'll sound fantastic, make a mark, potentially sell very well for you. And he's here to go over all of that. Fantastic niche. I didn't even know this existed. He is Robert Lane, and he's got that company that coaches on audiobooks. Robert, welcome. How are you today?
Doing great. Thank you, Steve. Appreciate it. Glad to be here.
Yeah, it's good to have you here. And I'm glad that more and more people are gravitating back to books. And I think part of that is it's so convenient because you could be driving in your car, you could be laying in bed, you could be at the beach and hear the book in its audio form. That being said, who's recording the audio? Best is the author, right? And then you help people do that.
Absolutely. Yeah. As an audiobook coach and producer, I created a program called Your Book, Your Voice. And it specializes in helping nonfiction authors, published nonfiction authors, who do include people like coaches and entrepreneurs who have written books, and educators and teachers and poets, and taking them through the process of narrating their own book and getting it published on Audible and Amazon and Apple Books.
What do you find is the main thing that people tell you when they're thinking about an audiobook? They would love it to be them. What do they tell you that they're most afraid of or fearful of?
There's a few reasons and even some excuses that I hear through the process. One is confidence, actually. Authors are great with the written word, but a lot of people aren't confident in their voice. So when I coach them, it's more than just, oh, here, just hit record and go. We talk about that thing. We talk about building confidence. We do mindset exercises. We make sure that you're in the proper frame of mind to be ready to do a great narration, to be compelling, to keep your listener engaged, and teach those tools and techniques to be able to do that. So confidence is one issue. Another thing that we address is time, right? Oh, I don't have enough time. And I believe that is a false belief, because we do have time. We all have 24 hours in a day, all of us. So what separates somebody who's mega successful to somebody who, is always struggling to find time? And it's just basic time management skills. And that's another thing that we talk about as well. But you do have the time to record a great audiobook, and you should, because that is a market that definitely needs to be tapped. If you only have an ebook or a paperback or hardcover, or maybe all three, you need to take your book to the next level and put it in audiobook form.
What about those people that just think, yeah, I sound pretty good, I love books, I'd love to do audio narration for books, but I'm not really sure how to do it? Would you be the person for them as well?
Absolutely. The main reason for creating the Your Book, Your Voice audiobook coaching program is to take the confusion and the hassle and the frustration of trying to figure out how to do it on your own. There are a lot of moving parts into creating an audiobook. Again, it's not like, grabbing your book and opening up and then hitting record and just start reading, and then you're done. Every single piece of the book is a separate audio file. So your opening credits is one file. If, let's say, you have 20 chapters in your book, well, that's 20 audio files. If you have a dedication page and a foreword, an introduction, acknowledgments, end credits, all of those are separate audio files. And so there is a process, and there's a lot of moving parts. So what I do as a coach is take a lot of that confusion and hassle of how to set up, and I take them step by step on how to get everything set up properly. So their main focus is, I'm just going to worry about doing a great narration. And that's all they really need to focus on. So when they're done recording, they send the files to me, because I've, having worked in the entertainment world for 30 plus years, and I've done audio post for 20 plus years. So then that's where the heavy lifting comes to me, to take all their files, make sure they sound great, make sure they're clean, make sure they meet the exact specifications for publication. And then I will even do the uploading process for them so they don't have to worry about it.
Wow.
So when it's all said and done, they get everything back, they get their final audio files, and I don't take anything in regards to ownership or royalties or anything. It's 100% the authors. My job is just to help them create an awesome audiobook and get them published on the three big platforms. Audible, Amazon, and Apple Books are platforms you really do need to be on. There's other distribution places as well, but those are the three you definitely need to be on.
Wow. What about equipment? Somebody says, I can't do that. I don't have I don't even know what I need.
I provide that for you. So part of the program, when you go through the audiobook coaching program, is I provide you with a professional mic. I provide you with professional headphones. We go over the audio recording program, and everything is done, step by step. When you're in the program, there's video lessons that are very detailed on how to set up your recording space and how to, do everything that you need to know to do a great narration. And then the next phase obviously is teaching the tools and techniques of how to do a great narration. And then finally, file delivery, getting published, and then also talking about marketing aspects. But in regards to equipment, I send the equipment to the author when they're ready to go.
Oh, and then I would assume they send it back to you when they're done.
They keep it.
Oh,
it's theirs to keep.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
In terms of the program, now I'm going to go, peel back a couple layers here. I don't need what audio program is used, but can anybody do it?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Anybody can do this. All you really need to do is have the confidence, right? That's the first thing, is have confidence in your voice. Own your voice. I tell them, own your voice, because your voice is good. What we hear inside our head is not what people hear,
Totally.
And it's funny, and you know this. You hear this all the time. Oh, I never knew I sounded like that. But so you know what? Your voice really isn't that bad. It's not as bad as you think it is. It really is good.
Voices are just regular people talking because it's so natural. And I just had a conversation with somebody earlier today who said they had a cold, and they're like, I don't know if I can do it. I don't know what I want to sound like. And I said to them, I didn't even know you had a cold. You hear it in your head. We know what we sound like. So you may sound a little, maybe in your mind congested, but to the rest of us, wouldn't have even known. So if we think about things that we don't even need to worry about, and even if you sounded a little stuffy, that's okay usually. Maybe not for an audiobook that's going to live forever, but and that brings me to another thought here. Who better to record it than the person who wrote it? Like they always say, you can speak about yourself forever because you. The same thing with the material in the book. You're going to sell it. All that material, right?
Absolutely. And this is why the program is focused on having authors narrate their own book. Because bottom line, it's your story. Only you can tell your story the way you intended it to be. You are who you are. You are unique. No one else can narrate that book the way you can, especially for nonfiction writers. I narrated my own book for an audiobook. I mean, sure, I'd love to have Morgan Freeman or James Earl Jones or have this great voice, and not that a professional voiceover person or narrator couldn't do a great job. Of course they can, but they're doing their interpretation.
Right.
And that's the difference. That's the difference. And plus, by narrating your own audiobook, you're establishing a connection with that listener. If someone bought your book and they're reading your book, and now you have an audiobook version, you are talking directly to that person. You've developed an intimate connection with that reader/listener now. And that even boosts the experience for that listener, up another level, especially if you're a coach or an entrepreneur or somebody who has a how-to or a self-help book. You should be the one narrating the book. It's your program. Or even as a nonfiction writer, it's your story. Only you can, narrate it the way that you intend it to be. It's like, for example, let's say you're a coach and you've written a weight loss book. And there's a lot of concepts, that many coaches who are just as equally qualified talk about, this method or that method. But what makes them stand out more for one person is their personality.
Yeah.
Why do you sign up with this coach, or why do you sign up with this weight loss person, or what it's and you have this person and that person, and person A is great, person B is great, but you sign up with person B because I connect with them. That's what the audiobook does.
You nailed what I was going to say. You feel like you know them because you're
Yes.
hearing, and there's no better medium, I feel, for intimacy than audio, because you don't have visuals, so then you can get a visual of what the author may look like, or where they are when they're reading it, or what they were doing when they wrote it. It's
Yeah.
just it's a very intimate medium. You, Robert, how did this all begin for you in terms of doing audiobooks and then going down the coaching road? Or if I may, the coaching lane. I'm sorry.
Well, that's good. That's very good. I like that. Yeah, I spent 30 plus years working in the entertainment business in various facets of the business. As an audio guy, I wanted to work in radio, so I started off working in radio and hosting talk shows and music shows and that kind of thing. And then that graduated into audio engineering. I was an audio engineer for Playboy Radio, of all places.
I didn't even know that existed.
Yeah. And then I moved on, to other aspects of production, both on camera, off camera. And then the last 14 years of my career was spent at 20th Century Fox, more on the corporate side of things. It was still in post-production. I was a project manager for their features division. And then I decided, after working there for 14 years to leave the business and do something different. So that's when the coaching business began. And that was about roughly 4 years ago. So I started Robert Lane Coaching. The main focus of the business was career coaching, and having all that experience of working in the business and, getting your certifications and mindset and all that stuff. I thought, this is really an important thing to be able to help people love their job again and really have true work-life balance. So a lot of people, they go to college, they get their dream job, but then they lose that fire and they get into the grind. And so that's why I went the career coaching route. It's like, let's fire that up, be excited. How did you feel when you landed that first job in that field that you wanted to be in? You felt great. Well, let's get that feeling back. So that's how that started. So then last year, I wrote a book, which is this book, Lights, Action, You, which takes various stories and experiences from the entertainment world. And then with each story, I tied a concept or lesson from my career coaching program with each story. So I didn't want it just to make it another self-help book. At least I wanted to tell some stories about the entertainment industry, just to make it a fun read, but also very valuable lessons to learn. So that's how the book came about. And from writing the book, I was approached by a lot of authors who were like, "Hey, I got a book published, and I have no clue how to do an audiobook." And since I'd gone through the process, I thought, you know what? Let me create and develop a program that can take authors through the process, because it could be very confusing and it could be a hassle depending on what you're trying to do. So I created the Your Book, Your Voice audiobook coaching program and added that under the Robert Lane Coaching umbrella. But most of my business now is focused on doing that. That's one thing I just love, because I still get to coach, which I love doing, helping people. And being an audio guy, I get to do all the audio post editing, which I love doing, and making authors' books sound fantastic.
Wow.
So that's how that started.
Yeah, that's super cool. And by the way, I heard the audio version of your book, Lights, Action, You, is really good. Just saying, I heard. Is that something that well, first of all, I just want to say, I don't know anybody that does what you do. There are people out there that I've heard of that coach for voiceover. So let's say somebody has
Mhm.
been told, "Hey, you got a pretty good voice.
Yeah.
Why don't you think about doing commercials or even business presentations or whatever it might be?" Never audiobooks. And I have to believe, having never done one, I have to believe that there are specific things that you need to do. It's not just you're recording the audio and saving each one as a separate file. It's got to have a certain sound, right?
Yeah, the one of the benefits for the author getting, a microphone and all that stuff, getting the equipment, is obviously getting free equipment. That's part of the program. But the other benefit is that there's consistency.
Hmm.
And that makes my job as an audio editor easier because everybody has the same equipment. So the specs are going to be pretty much the same. So when I do my editing, I got everything dialed in, which makes the editing process, because the audiobook coaching program is a 6-week program. So by the end of the 6 weeks, their book is done. Their book is recorded. Their book has already been uploaded for publication. Sometimes, and it depends. They say it takes roughly 10 days for it to actually go live. It could take 10 to 20 days. It depends. But by the end of the program, your book is done.
Wow.
And that's the important thing.
when you're when you're coaching someone, at what point do they actually start recording? Now you said it's 6 weeks. Everybody's different, but what do you think in terms of, all right, well, you know, uh, Mike is ready to record now. How do you make that determination? And is it week three or where would it be?
So the first week, the first actually our first meeting, because we do weekly group calls. So we have a call immediately, and we get everybody on the same page. A few days before, they have access to the video lessons that I've put together, so they can go ahead and already just start watching. And they're not, like these crazy 2 hour long, crazy videos. Try to make it very convenient, but give a lot of information, and PDF downloads and everything that you need to know what the process is. So I ask and prefer them to go ahead and start watching the modules just to get their feet wet and knowing what the process is. So on the first call, if there's any questions, we're ready to go. That's what happens right off the bat. The following week, I want them already ready to send me a sample file. So we jump right into it right away. And obviously, if there's any questions about setting up the recording space, we make sure everything is handled. And they have access to me as their coach. We have a private Facebook page for clients. You can, if it's not on a group call, ask a question, because you know what, there are other people who may have the same question. And so that's why it's really great doing the group thing, because people ask things that's like, oh, wow, I didn't even think of that. So that's really important. So yeah, getting them started and recording as soon as possible is great. Now, they do have to send me an audio file sample, because I need to listen to it before I approve them to just start recording. I want to hear it. I listen for everything. If there's background noises, lip noises, mouth noises, who knows, anything, maybe their levels aren't right, anything that can hinder the quality of their audiobook, I will tell them first, okay, you need to fix this, this, and this, and then send me another sample so I can hear it, just to make sure everything is good before you have the green light to go for it. And so we want to make sure everything's good.
Part I love about this is, Robert, you're the safety net. So somebody does their recording. I'm assuming here, based on what you said, you edit it. So if somebody makes a mistake, or they need to pause, or whatever it might be, you can tighten it up and make it sound polished and perfect.
Absolutely. And part of what they're learning in the video modules and what we talk about is how to do that. This is what you do if you make a mistake. This is what you do if you have a passage that you need to replace. So they have everything that they need to know, so that me then, when I put on my audio editing hat, I know, okay, and we do things, similar to like what they do in voiceover. When someone says a line and they make a mistake, they'll say pick up. Just say pick up. Then I know that last little section or sentence, I can just cut it out and start again. Real simple. Little tools and techniques like that, just to make the process easier. So then we go in and do
The
all the
geek in,
editing.
the geek in me has to ask this question. When somebody's recording, are they recording the whole thing at once, or are they stopping and making an individual file for each one?
They're making an individual file for every part of their book. So, for example, in my book, Life Action You, I have 14 chapters. I have an introduction, opening credits, closing credits, acknowledgments, dedication page. Every single piece is its own separate audio file.
Gotcha. Wow.
So everything is separate. And I have a very specific file naming convention that they need to follow when they label their file, so that I know exactly what it is, and it's also to help them as well, so that they know exactly what it is. And we talk about file management and all those things that you need to know to keep yourself organized. Again, like you say, I'm there as their safety net, but I'm also there as their accountability partner too, to make sure that they stay on track and that they're doing the best job that they can possibly do, and that we can meet the timeline of getting this done in 6 weeks. Now, my guarantee is I will work with an author until their book is published. So if there's any issues or something happens and it takes longer than the 6 weeks, so be it. I want to make sure that their book is published and it's the best thing that they can possibly do.
I saw your book when you held it up, and it's a pretty substantial size book.
Yeah,
Um,
it's 128 pages.
okay.
Yeah.
For you, somebody that has done this, how long did it take you to record the audio portion of that entire book?
Well, doing it in sections is definitely the way to do it. And that's how you want to do it anyway, because you're going to get fatigued. And then the quality of your narration is going to diminish a little bit. When you get tired, you can hear it. You hear these things. It's just like in voiceover when they say, smile when you talk. You can hear that smile. It's that kind of thing.
I'll tell you, and it's funny you bring that up. I shared this with somebody the other day. I worked at a radio station for a lot of years, and the one thing that was in front of the microphone was a sign that said smile. Not even kidding, because when you smile, you project differently. You can feel it, what somebody is feeling when they smile, and you enunciate better too.
Yeah, absolutely. And we dive into when I talk about how to do a great narration, and we dive into these tools and techniques of the mental process of what it takes to do a great narration, to be compelling, to be authentic is really the key. Which reminds me, I do want to share that coming up on June 14th, and I know that if this is replayed, that date may may be off a little bit, but I am doing a webinar called The Art of Audiobook Narration. And you can go to Robert Lane Coaching to register for that. And we're doing a deep dive into that aspect of it, how to be a great speaker, how to do an awesome narration. And again, these are tools and techniques that you can take with you, even if you're not recording an audiobook, to be a better speaker, to be a better presenter. If you're at a job and you have to do a presentation for your boss, build that confidence to walk in there and do a great presentation. There's a lot of benefits.
Oh, 100%. Even doing a Zoom video. Let's say
Right.
back a little bit of confidence. Everybody's doing Zoom videos for work. Imagine feeling better about doing that, and then also being able to record stuff. I think it's fantastic. You've nailed something here. Nobody else I know is doing this, especially from the coaching end. And just the fact that somebody, gets a package at their door and they have the recording equipment, that's half the battle. The other half is, aside from being confident with your voice, the material. You wrote the material. Nobody's going to do it better than you, or the way, like you said, the way you want it to sound. So what's left? A little bit of coaching on your voice, and you're off to, I would assume, a really good polished product.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And we do talk about, like if there's an author that wants to sign up and go through the program, we book a call because I want to talk to them first, because I want to understand what their book is about, what their marketing plan is too, because that's also a factor. Do you publish exclusively or non-exclusively? What is the distribution? There's things that I need to know that'll help in regards to setting up the publication process for getting your book on Audible, Amazon, and Apple Books, and making sure that we're all on the same page and that we're all on track. But again, the joy for me is hearing an author narrate their own book and seeing their joy when they hear the final product.
Absolutely.
It's
priceless. It's got to feel good. And, somebody that didn't have any experience 6 weeks later is recording their own audiobook, which is going to help propel them in terms of their original goal, writing a book. So fantastic. Yes. The workshop is June 14th. The website, share that again with us, Robert.
RobertLaneCoaching.com.
Excellent. Thank you. Interesting what you're offering, and I think fantastic for a lot of people. And again, there could be somebody that's watching, listening, that is thinking, yeah, I'd really like to do audiobook. I love reading books. I'd like to narrate. Maybe this is a starting point for them as well, right?
Yeah. I mean, take the webinar to learn the art of audiobook narration. Now, I do focus with nonfiction writers because, again, I feel that they need to narrate their own book. It's their story. Fiction writers, I don't work with as much. And I understand that because, hiring a professional voiceover is the way to go. If you have characters, if you want to bring that book to life, get a great professional voiceover artist who can do characters and really make that book really enticing. So the fiction area, is something that a narrator would be perfect for.
So final question, what about a children's book?
Children's book. If the author wrote it, they should narrate it. Why not? Absolutely, 100%.
I feel the same way. It's as if, the author, and I know a couple of people that write children's books, it's like they're in, let's say they're invited to a library. They're reading the book. So why not read it online as an audiobook? RobertLaneCoaching.com is the website. Robert, thank you for all the details. Great having you on with us today.
Oh, it's been a pleasure. I really had a good time talking with you, Steve.
Thank you, and I look forward next time we get a chance to catch up.
All right, take care.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house. And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned.
This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.